actors. This is what Jimmy Kimmel said. The actors are going to give speeches tonight that the president will tweet about in all caps during his 5 a.m. bowel movement tomorrow. And everybody's laughing and clapping. You're talking about the president of the United States taking a bowel movement on international television. You don't think that that's kind of inappropriate? Disrespectful? Anyway, then, this is what really struck me. Jimmy Kimmel actually had a serious moment, and in his serious moment, he called upon everybody in America and the world to practice unity. He said, quote, "If every person watching this show, if every one of you took a minute to reach out to someone you disagree with, someone you like, and have a positive, considerate conversation, not as liberals and conservatives, but as Americans, we could make America great again." And then everybody in there applauds. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, are you kidding me? But he says, if everybody would just reach out, take a moment and reach out to somebody that you disagree with and have a positive, considerate conversation. And he says this while trashing Donald Trump on a regular basis. I mean, who is he talking to? Should this audience full of liberals maybe reach out and have a positive conversation with some conservatives? This is what cracks me up about Hollywood liberals. We need to come together. We need to just reach out our hand of friendship and have positive conversations with people and stop the division. Unless it's a conservative, then you can pile on them, call them every name in the book. You can disrespect the office of the presidency. You can do whatever you want to as long as they're conservative. But other than that, you conservatives, we need you to reach across the aisle and have a positive conversation with liberals and stop criticizing. But we don't have to reach across the aisle and stop criticizing you. And it's like nobody in the room even gets it. They just all applaud. Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment, Jimmy Kimmel. All right, then you get to the comment from Kimmel about the movie Doctor Strange. He said, quote, "Doctor Strange was nominated for special effects and also Secretary of Housing and Urban Development." Big laugh in the room. He's talking about Dr. Ben Carson, African-American neurosurgeon, who's Donald Trump's selection to be Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. But wait a minute. Dr. Ben Carson is, quote, Dr. Strange? Why does Ben Carson deserve to get mocked and ridiculed at the Academy Awards? Let's face it, folks, for one reason and one reason only. Because he's a black conservative. And black conservatives are not allowed. If you're black and conservative, that means you deserve to be ridiculed instead of respected. Then you get to the Iranian director, Asghar Farhadi. Asghar Farhadi won as Best Director for the movie The Salesman. Okay. But he's from Iran. Now, he would be allowed to come to the United States because Donald Trump's travel ban, first of all, the travel ban allowed for exceptions in case-by-case basis, and this will certainly be one of them. But number two, there's currently an injunction against it anyway, so this director is perfectly allowed to come to the United States. Even if the travel ban was in place, he'd be allowed to come to the United States. But he deliberately chose not to make a statement. And so here's what he did. He had somebody read a letter standing up there holding his Oscar saying the director's not with us. He's in Iran, but here's a letter he would like me to read. And the letter says, quote, "I'm sorry I'm not with you tonight. My absence is out of respect for the people of my country and from 6 other nations who have been disrespected by the inhumane law which bans immigrant entry into the United States." And then he's interrupted, or the lady reading the letter is interrupted by cheers from the audience. Then he goes on, "Dividing the world into us and our enemies categorizes and creates fear, a deceitful justification for aggression and war." And the whole time that the audience is sitting there getting all misty-eyed as their lips are quivering, listening to this letter being read from a woman on behalf of the director who's not there because he's taking a stand about these horrible, horrible policies and how unjust it is and how, quote, inhumane it is to ban immigrants into the United States. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a minute, number one, Donald Trump isn't banning immigrants into the United States. That's just flat out not true. There's 7 countries on the list, and Iran happens to be one of those countries, and it's only temporary for 120 days. But then number two, here's the ultimate irony. Iran bans people from immigrants coming into Iran all the time. And do you know one country that is banned from traveling into Iran? Israel. Jews are not allowed to travel into Iran because they're considered dogs that will dirty the soil of Iran by even showing up in there. Did you know that? Iran, by the way, that executes homosexuals and oppresses women. Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism in the world, funding Hamas and Hezbollah to carry out their terrorist attacks against Jews in Israel. This is Iran, and we're having a director from Iran lecture the United States on humane laws and proper treatment of foreigners and proper treatment of people. And then there's the Hollywood celebrities sitting there with their lips quivering, reaching for a Kleenex as they listen to these beautiful words from this Iranian director. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, are any of these Hollywood celebrities, is a light bulb going off over any of their heads thinking to themselves, wait a minute, this guy's an Iranian director and he's lecturing the United States, even though Iran doesn't allow Israelis to go into Iran. Iran actually funds and pays for terrorist attacks against Jews. They're the #1 state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Iran oppresses women horribly and executes homosexuals. I mean, is there any Hollywood celebrity in there that while they were clapping, while they were applauding the lecturing that we were getting from an Iranian director, were there any of them thinking to themselves, wait a minute, what about this other stuff? Let alone actually thinking to themselves, well, Barack Obama in 2011 did ban travel from Iraq. I mean, he banned refugees from Iraq, and he didn't do it for 120 days. He did it for 6 months. Barack Obama did that. And Jimmy Carter in 1980, Jimmy Carter banned all travel from Iran, refugees, immigration, anything from Iran, and he did this. He did this indefinitely, not even for 6 months, but indefinitely. And by the way, Jimmy Carter also in 1980 ordered all 60,000 Iranians living in the United States, going to college as students or whatever, ordered every one of them. You have 30 days to report to immigration for possible deportation. And thousands of them ended up being deported from this country, even though they hadn't committed any crimes, but they happened to be from Iran. Now, here's what I'm curious about. If we went back and we decided to watch the Academy Awards ceremony from 1980, just kind of curious if we would see any of the Hollywood celebrities attacking Jimmy Carter, saying this is not who we are as a country. I guarantee you, folks, you won't find one speech, one comment from anybody in the 1980 Academy Awards. Probably have to be the 1981 Academy Awards, because Jimmy Carter made this ruling throughout 1980 and it carried over into the beginning of 1981. But what do you think? Do you think that happened at the Academy Awards back then? Guarantee you it didn't.